between exits 23 and 22. That crash, around 3 o'clock this morning, shut down northbound traffic on the highway for hours. 2 other people trapped in the car in which Enozine was riding had to be extricated from the wreck by firefighters. The driver of a second vehicle suffered non-life-threatening injuries, according to the Fairfield Fire Department. A short time later, as traffic was being rerouted through Fairfield due to the crash that closed I-95, firefighters extricated a man from a car that collided with a tractor-trailer at the intersection of Black Rock Turnpike and Burroughs Road. 85-year-old Albert J. Cavalitz of J Circle was later pronounced dead at St. Vincent's Hospital. No word yet on the cause of either crash. Opponents of the sale of the Stratford Water Pollution Control Facility to a regional authority collected 6,000 signatures calling for a referendum on the deal. But Stratford officials this morning refused to accept the petitions, citing state law. The petitioners want Stratford residents to vote on whether the town should proceed with the sale of the Water Pollution Control Authority and its assets to the Greater New Haven Water Pollution Control Authority. The town council voted April 9th to approve the sale, but many of those who signed the petition are against it, saying it's giving away a valuable asset and surrendering local control of a municipal service. Stratford is expected to receive $16 million from the sale of the sewer plant. The Greater New Haven Water Pollution Control Authority will also pay Stratford annual payments in lieu of taxes between $200,000 and $420,000 and take on $37 million in debt from Stratford for plant upgrades completed in 2009. Stratford Town Attorney Tim Bishop referred to state statute, saying that the referendum cannot be held because Stratford is a member of the New Haven Authority. Petition supporters disagree, claiming Stratford is not yet a member since the approved sale has not been closed. The town and the New Haven Authority want to finalize the sale by June 30th, the last day of fiscal 2015. We'll be updating that story at StratfordStar.com as events warrant. A Milford man, identified by police as a youth hockey coach from Shelton, was charged Monday with stalking an 18-year-old waitress in Shelton. 57-year-old Kim Laricchia was charged with a warrant charging him with third-degree stalking, second-degree breach of peace, and interfering with an officer. Bond was $15,000 for court May 18th in Derby. On March 21st, according to a complaint, Laricchia entered a River Road restaurant. Police said he then obsessively, their word, watched an 18-year-old waitress for some 4 hours. At one point, Laricchia passed her a note asking if she wanted to go for a ride, then followed her on River Road after completing her shift. Laricchia fled the area after the female, alarmed because he continued to follow her, called and met her boyfriend in a local parking lot. Laricchia returned to the River Road restaurant the next day and again continually watched the woman, according to police. Eventually, he left the restaurant, but the waitress was able to obtain Laricchia's license plate, which she gave to police. During the course of their investigation, Shelton detectives determined that Laricchia is a youth hockey coach. That's going to do it for our update now. I know you've got a busy Nutmeg Sports, Rob, with some big news should come out of the FCAC tonight.
Yeah, it should for sure, and among other things we've got to get to, we've got a situation down in Wilton, as well as we'll be joined by Scott Gura, the head baseball coach at Shelton. But Mike Suppy joins me right here off the bat. Mike, good afternoon.
How's it going, Rob?
Good to see you, and thanks for your time today. And as we get things started, I saw this story come across from Chris Burns down in Wilton right off the bat, and he writes, and I'm reading from the Wilton Bulletin, which is where you can find this story. A parent of a Little Leaguer was briefly investigated by police on Thursday, April 30th, so a few days ago, after he allegedly told an umpire he was going to, and I quote, punch him in the face. Police responded to the Little League fields at the Wilton Y Thursday around 8 p.m. after an umpire called to report a parent had threatened him during the course of a game. The parent denied the charges, and the matter will be handled internally by Wilton Little League. According to the umpire, the coach became irate during the game after one of his players for interfering with a base runner. After asking the coach to calm down a number of times, the umpire ejected him. Then a parent came from behind the backstop and repeatedly harassed the official. Bottom line is, the umpire refused to press charges and said the league would deal with the matter internally. But, I mean, Mike, come on. no, I'm a dad. I've been a coach. My son does not play sports anymore. I'll give you that as, background information. But I've got enough experience with youth sports to know that there's a right and a wrong here, and this is kind of wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the example you want to be setting for the kids. I mean, let's not forget this is Little League. It's not the pros. It's not college. It's not even high school. But, I mean, I've seen so many games where this kind of behavior, I won't say it's the norm, but, you get a lot of people that say a lot of things out there that probably shouldn't be said, behind a backstop. And, I mean, the coach getting ejected is not a good look either, to be honest, in a Little League game.
No.
But it's just a sad situation all around, but it's something you see, see it occasionally.
Is this something we're seeing more of now than we've seen in the past?
Oh, I think so. I think it's more prevalent nowadays with just the amount of pressure and everything with sports at the youth and scholastic levels and things like that. Just the pressure's there and the people are all charged up, and it's just not – people need to take a step back and take a breath sometimes.
But why? I mean, why are we seeing this more? Is it the idea that, we have for less graceful terms, are these entitled parents who think that, little Johnny's going to go play first at, Alabama and then go on and hit the big time somewhere?
I think the helicopter parenting has a lot to do with that, which is, more of a new kind of thing that people with the way they are, especially with sports, where they want the kids to get the scholarship and all that. And the entitlement, like you said, it's definitely there. And to be berating a Little League umpire, I don't see the point in that. But again, I'm not a parent, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's something that I can't get my head around. And again, maybe it's because I've covered too many games. And like I said, I've been a coach, so I guess I understand it from a different perspective. But I just can't understand this idea of going after an official and remember, most of these officials in the Little Leagues, they might be getting a couple of bucks. I'm not saying they're, but we're not talking Mark Hirschbeck here. We're not talking professional umpires.
It's not Cowboy Joe West out there.
No, thank God for that, I suppose. But still, you shouldn't be doing it. And I don't know why it seems almost foolishly commonsensical for me to have to even say that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's $1 million question on how do you stop people from acting like that, but you can't control everyone, and it's just something that it's very unfortunate to see.
Yeah, so that story will, perhaps there will be more to the story that we'll find out from the Wilton Bulletin. Again, that's Chris Burns writing and reporting there. He went and dug out that story today. Pardon the bad pun, dug out. But in any event, so a story from Wilton about a parent investigated after threatening an umpire, and it's just I don't get that in any way, shape, or form. But now we'll turn our attention eventually back toward football, because this is going to be a big night with the FCAC coaches getting together. They're meeting tonight at the Sono Ice House, from what I was reading. And, in fact, Steve Buno writing in the Darien Times saying that meeting at the Sono Fieldhouse, at 7 p.m., they're hoping all the coaches come out. And I think if this topic is so passionate to everyone, then they should have 100% attendance. Of course, I understand, people have lives, but I would think every team finds a way to represent their coach somehow.
Yeah, you'd have to think after the ruckus this has caused, for lack of a better term, across the state, not just in this area. It's quite a ruckus. It's got to sort itself out soon, too, because they're running out of time to settle this things down. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely true, because this situation just continues to go on. Now, some of the Twitter chatter seems to have died down as I was keeping an eye on it, and I have been keeping quite a close eye on it, for the past couple of days. It seems like that has kind of chilled out for a little bit, but once tonight comes and goes, it's going to be a feeding frenzy all over again.
Yeah, it could be the proverbial gas can on the fire.
It could be, and like I said, at one point or another, it feels like everybody has chimed in on this thing. From, folks within our own organization, who do a great job covering all of this, to folks outside of the organization, and it's the story that I said yesterday will not go away for a little while.
No, like I said, because it seems like they looked like they had a resolution, and then they didn't, and now this big meeting that they're having tonight, where hopefully something will come out of it that's more concrete.
Hopefully so, but it just seems more and more like the snowball is building, that coaches and players are just very anti-FCAC championship on Thanksgiving. And It's amazing because I've talked about it, as I said on yesterday's show, and I've been around the FCX since really the late 90s at this point, but I know obviously people who have been around it a lot longer, and they all say to me, hey, that's the way it used to be. You played the FCX championship on Thanksgiving, and everybody went to that. So it's a story that we're just going to continue to talk about quite a bit as we move along here at 2:17, just about 2:18 on Nutmeg Sports on this Tuesday edition. I know we've come up with a guest today that should be a good conversation for us, so we can jump on the phone and bring him in now. He is the head baseball coach over at Shelton, Scott Gurrow. Scott, Rob Adams, and Mike Suppy, how are you?
Hi, Rob and Mike. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. Thanks for a few minutes of your time today.
No problem at all. I appreciate getting some press for the Shelton Gales this year so far.
Well, introduce us to those Gales. What's your team like this year?
We're an extremely scrappy team. Compared to last year, we only had 5 wins. We kind of took our lumps last year going 5-15, but we had a great deal of kids from last year's team that earned some varsity experience as juniors that have now been applying that to their senior year. We had 2 very good varsity pitchers last year in Mike Cowell and Justin Lynch, who have now carried it over to their senior year being captains of the team. Both are going on to play in college. Mike Cowell is going to Fordham University in New York, and Justin Lynch is going to Stonehill. So both of them are college pitchers that are doing very well for us. Mike Cowell is actually getting some major league scouts looking at him. He has grown 2 or 3 inches and put on about 9-10 pounds of muscle, and he's throwing the ball higher 80s, low 90s now. I think he was clocked the other day at 91. So he's exceptional this year. He's 4-0. He's got a .21 average in 33 innings. He's given up 1 earned run, and it was a home run against Sheen. That's it. In 33 innings, he has 53 strikeouts. So he almost is coming close to 2 strikeouts an inning. So, not putting the ball in play that many times really is beneficial towards our defense, of course, and our offense, because it limits the amount of runs we have to score behind him.
Coach, you talk about how dominant those guys are on the mound. Talk about Cowell as a hitter, too, because, you mentioned that his dominance on the mound. He's also, he's a two-way guy who's not just a pitcher, right?
Yes, exactly, Mike. He bats third for us, so he's in a power position. He's currently batting .320. He has 8 runs scored. He has 1 home run that he hit against Hand. He's a clutch hitter. He is very disciplined at the plate. He only has 2 strikeouts in 35 at-bats, and he has 7 walks. So he's got a good on-base percentage, over 500. Like I said, our number 3 hitter, we moved him to the 5-hole one game, and he got 2 hits, but usually he is in the 3-hole. He's been a 3-year starter for us at shortstop or pitching, or even second base as a sophomore. So he was dressing as a freshman, and he had 2 starts freshman year on that state championship team in 2012. So he's had 3 years of experience where he's really carried it over this year and been a leader for us.
Now, how big is it for those guys who are seniors now that, even just dressed for that team when they were freshmen that won the state title? How much do you think they learned from that experience that year?
A great deal, to tell you the truth, Mike. I'm starting to see it. When that 2012 team started, we really didn't have the aspirations of being state champions. We didn't know how good we were really going to be till the second half of the season. I think when we lost to Amity in the SEC championship game that year, we really saw it. The coaches really saw it in the boys' eyes that, hey, you know what? This is going to be the last game we're going to lose this year. They really had that bitter taste in their mouth after we tied with Amity for the division championship, and then we played Amity again in the SECs and lost. That was our last loss of the season. We finished up 22-5, and the boys really just kind of took it upon themselves saying, you know what, we're not going to lose again. We don't want to have this feeling in a championship game again. And that was the third year in a row that we at least made it to the semifinals of the state tournament. So we had to get over that hump of getting to the championship game, and then we finally did. We had two Division I pitchers on that team too, and Ryan Dice and Ryan Testani. And I see a lot of similarities with Lynch and Cowell, and we've started off strong, being 9-3 now and beating a ranked team in Notre Dame last night. We've actually, we haven't gotten a great deal of notoriety in the polls yet, and I don't mind that because the season's only half over, but we've beaten 3 ranked teams already in the top 10. We've beaten Sheehan, Amity, and Notre Dame now. So the kids kind of have a chip on their shoulder a little bit because, they want some press, but they know the season's only half over, and it's better to get it at the end of the year than it is to get it at the beginning of the year.
Well, I don't like to divulge my votes, but you had my vote this week, so I don't, not to be a suck up, but I put you guys in there. So hopefully that gave him a little momentum. Now, just talk about, I know you've recently got a personal milestone as the head baseball coach, picking up your 100th win in the victory against Lyman Hall. What does that mean to you?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate congratulations for that. It is a milestone. I mean, any team that you have that is talented, you're going to be a successful coach. And it's a team sport. 100 wins is nice to have. I've only been coaching now for 7 seasons, and that's pretty much, 14, 13 wins a season. So that's having a good start to your career. Starting in the middle of the year in 2008 when Coach Morocco passed away, I took over. And from there, we've really been blessed with a great deal of talent, all-staters, college players. It's easier to win games when you have a great deal of talent. I think Mike Krzyzewski said at one time, when you have talent, you can win games, but it's very difficult when you don't have talent to still win games. If you don't have a great deal of talent, it's going to be a lot more difficult to be a successful head coach. And I've been blessed with some very good players over the years. It is a milestone with 100 wins, but I also know that I haven't done it all by myself. My coaching staff, Dave Moore was a former college pitcher at Fairfield University, and Bobby Ayer, who was my assistant, played at Trinity College in Connecticut, and my new assistant, Jeff Napoli, played at Cheshire High School. He had an opportunity to play at Central Connecticut. So we have a very knowledgeable staff where we, discuss things during the game. We come to agreements. Last night we made a few Tony LaRussa wholesale substitutions late in the game when we brought Mike Cowell in to pitch, and he was playing shortstop, and we had a DH that had to move to left, and our right fielder had to move to center, and our pitcher Lynch had to move to first base. So we had made about 5 defensive changes to bring Cowell into pitch and move our left fielder Canos into short, who plays shortstop when Mike pitches. So it was kind of one of those games that everything just kind of worked out in the end.
Coach, things, as you said, going pretty well. You've got a rematch with Sheehan coming up next Monday. But, you've got Amity tomorrow, North Haven on Friday. And really, this season goes by so fast. You don't have time to really stop and ponder things. What are your thoughts as you sit here right now?
Well, the first Amity game last week, because we're now playing them back-to-back weeks in about a 10-day period. Before the game, we said we want to be business-like. We're going to have to take this, play, focus, and let's be business-like on the field. And they did that. Mike Cowell pitched extremely well. I think we beat Amity 4-1. He shut down one of the best teams in the state, the 2-time defending state champions. And it was business-like. They were focused. We've been on a little bit of a winning streak now. We saw the importance of winning last night. It was the first night game. There was difficulty on both sides in seeing the ball under the lights because now that the warmer weather is here, we're going to play a lot more night games. We're looking forward to Amity again because with Sheehan losing yesterday to Cheshire, We control our own destiny a little bit in the fact that we have Kyle pitching tomorrow. We'll have Kyle, if he's healthy, pitching again Monday against Sheehan. And then, we win those 2 games. We at least tie for the Whoosie, and then we have Lyman Hall right after that. So North Haven on Friday, we're not going to overlook them just for the Sheehan game. Usually I've told the boys just take one game at a time. Don't look past last night's game because we got Amity, a big division opponent. Let's take one game at a time, and we went out. We were down 3-1 in the 5th inning. We scored 3 runs in the 5th against a very good Notre Dame team, and Kyle came in and closed the door, and now we got Amity. So don't look past Amity at Sheehan. Don't look past Amity at North Haven, who has a legendary coach in Bob DeMayo. We haven't faced them yet this year, so, second half of the season, we faced them twice. So, we got a difficult schedule. We've finished 1 or 2 for the last 7 or 8 years in our division, which means we face everybody else in the other divisions in the SEC as the 1 and 2 seed. So, we got roughed up a little bit last year, but we also gained a great deal of experience, and I think that's carried over this year. And, we got a long way to go. We have to stay healthy. That's the important thing, but I think we have the horses if we can stay focused to maybe do a little damage, hopefully, if we qualify for the SEC or now that we're in the state tournament, especially when Kyle and Lynch pitch.
So much has been made around Connecticut over what's going on in the FCAC with their football situation and their whole championship thing. And I'll try to make my question a little less long-winded than that, but the point being, how much does winning your conference mean to your players?
I think it means a great deal because, we've had an opportunity now to be there twice. We won it in 2010 against Amity, and then we lost it in 2012 to Amity again. They got a little revenge on us, but then we got the ring in 2012 for the state championship. But I think it is important because it kind of sets the tone for you going into the state tournament. I know usually with the game being on Saturday, it's your 3rd game of the week without bad weather. You play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then you come back on Monday or Tuesday to play your first round of the states. So in a lot of instances, you're pitching either your 2 or 3 or even sometimes your 4 in that in their conference championship game. I would like to possibly see maybe a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or even a Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, so you get a little break. Our conference, we play out. As a matter of fact, we have our last scheduled game this year on Memorial Day, which is the last day that our games count towards the SEC tournament, which is the very next day. So we have our SEC coaches meeting the day before Memorial Day to set the seeds, and we have a game. Instead of a scheduled doubleheader, we split up our game against Guilford, who also is having a pretty good season in their division, leading their division out on the East Coast. We play them on Memorial Day. So we're actually, if we go far in the league tournament, we could play 4 games in 5 days and then come back and play back-to-back days in the first and second round of the states. I am one that is not in favor of playing back-to-back days in the state tournament. I don't like it because with weather, you kind of get backed up. I think you should still have a break and do like a Monday, Wednesday, or a Tuesday, Thursday, because you go Saturday anyways. I understand their philosophy. If you do get rain, you can go to the next day, but it seems like the 2 most important games in the state tournament are that first and second round game because they're back to back. And, besides the conference tournament, I know your question, Rob, was the conference, but the states, everybody has an ace, whether a team's 8-12 or a team is 18-2.
Right.
And that first round game is usually the most difficult because anybody can beat anybody. And you've seen some upsets all the way through in the first round, because you see everybody's number 1 pitcher. But as for the conference tournament, I think it's still important because any championship you win, You put a banner up on your wall, whether it's a division championship or whether it's a conference championship or whether you're lucky enough to be one of only 4 teams to win a state championship. I think, our conference is by far the best in the state. I mean, we've had, and it just numbers back that up, our small 5-team division in the Housatonic has had the last 3 double L state champions in us and Amity back-to-back. And then, Notre Dame's won it a few years in L, and you had Sheehan win it a few years ago in M. So, I mean, our conference is, one of the strongest, and I think it helps us going into the state tournament time and getting us ready to play some of those other FCAC and CCC teams.
Coach, great stuff. I mean, so much fun to talk to you for a few minutes. I'm glad you gave us some of your time, and best of luck with this team, and we'll talk to you again down the road, I hope.
Thank you very much, Rob and Mike. I appreciate you calling and letting me have a few minutes, and hope to see you down the road again when it comes tournament time.
Sounds good to us. We hope to do the same. Thanks again.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right, that is head coach Scott Gura of the Shelton Gales, and amazingly, I never referred to him as Larry Gura. If you're an older baseball fan, you get that reference if you remember 70s baseball, and the former Yankee before he became a Royal, Larry Gura, the Yankee killer for many years as well. 2:34 on Nutmeg Sports. Mike and I will take a timeout. Needless to say, some football to be discussed as well. Rob Trefone was heard from again, the head football coach down in Darien. Steve Bruno has some thoughts from him, so we'll continue on with more of that as we roll along through a Tuesday edition of Nutmeg Sports right here on HANradio.com and streaming live along the HAN network.
Breaks, sprains, injuries, and pain can now be quickly and expertly treated at Coastal Ortho Express in Norwalk. Why wait hours in the ER? Save a trip and save money going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or call 203-845-2070. Fast!
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332, and online at stratfordsmile.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
Yeah, hey, this is John Ratzberger. You're listening to HANradio.com.
Rob Adams and Mike Suppy with you on Nutmeg Sports, a Tuesday edition here on HANradio.com and streaming live along the HAN network. It's May 5th, 2015. Happy to have you along. Great stuff with Scott Gura. By the way, follow them on Twitter at SHS Gales. That's Gales Baseball. Try it again, Rob. SHS Gales Baseball. You can follow them on Twitter. And I mean, at this point, I'm shocked when a team doesn't have a Twitter feed.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it is nowadays. It's a good way to find out information, especially when you're in our business. When you can't get everywhere at once, it's a good way to keep track of what you missed.
Yeah, it really is. And I guess it's, some of the older coaches don't necessarily buy into it. And that's why I'm always going to be intrigued to see how things change in Greenwich, for instance, where, Richie Albanizio was not a technology guy. He would have his quarterbacks coach and eventual offensive coordinator, TJ Ostruska, much younger guy. He would take over and kind of be that technology guru, and Richie would just coach the football team, So he was not going to be tweeting. I'm amazed Coach Al is even on Facebook at this point. But so some guys just aren't going to do it. Sometimes it's the boosters who will take it over. It's a family who will run the feed. But, some are really good about getting right on there and being very forward in that regards. And for some, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, it's a matter of preference. I mean, it's a thing where you probably don't want the kids on there if you're a coach. But if it's, a parent or someone, administrator that runs it, it's usually, nothing you have to worry about. It's always good stuff.
All right, 2:38 here on Nutmeg Sports for this Tuesday afternoon. Number to dial if you want to jump in, 203-442-9055. We've got some open phone lines. You're more than welcome to join us. But as I said before we went to break, clearly there would be more chatter about the football situation in the FCAC. And Steve Buono has been on top of it on the Darien Times website. He spoke with Rob Trafone once again. They have a fairly good relationship. And Coach Trafone, as Steve writes, is foursquare behind restoring the popular annual Darien versus New Canaan Turkey Bowl dual community multi-generational football fest, as Steve writes. And I get that. I get in a special town, a special situation like Darien and New Canaan where they've played the Turkey Bowl for over 20 years at this point. They've played that game since 1928. I understand that. Now, on yesterday's show, I alluded to the fact that Ryan Harrison in New York have played since 1929. Some years they're playing in week 2. They're playing in, September or early October. They're not giving you that Thanksgiving fest. Now, New York sports and New York football are different than Connecticut, but I'm just telling you, I've lived in New York and I covered New York, so I understand it. I'm just saying there's a different world outside of the FCAC, outside of the Nutmeg State.
I mean, totally. And, within the state, you talk about those long-term rivalries, easy for me to say.
Right.
Derby and Shelton have been playing for,
Sure.
over 100 years, and they were able to make it work when when Derby switched conferences. I mean, it's... the Thanksgiving Day games are not a tradition everywhere else in the country, which is something I think that people around here don't understand. And, as long as you play the games, does it matter when you play them? Does it uphold the rivalry? I'm not sure. The town I'm from Milford. Foreign-in-law have been playing every year on Thanksgiving for, quite some time. And, it's a huge rivalry within the city. And, I can see why these schools want to maintain the rivalry and the certain day they play it, but it's a slippery slope when you have teams changing conferences and conference realignment and things like that, almost constantly nowadays.
Yeah, I'm all for keeping the tradition alive of playing, and believe me, Ryan Harrison famously about a decade ago actually had their game stripped from them by something called the Piner system that was just mind-numbing in that it insisted on matching teams up of a certain class and weight and this, that, and the other. So for the first time since World War II, they didn't play, and there was a huge outcry. New York State would not give in on it, and eventually they did right the wrong, and they did go on and play again, but it was a mess there for a while.
People don't like to see long-standing traditions get just scrubbed away like that, so at that point, that's when people take it amongst themselves to, kick up some dirt and get things changed. And it seems like that's one of the things that gets really people riled up and ready to go.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question about that. But I guess what it all comes down to for me is, in the end, is it that players want a 10th game? Is it that they really care so much about the Thanksgiving rivalry? Like, what is the big rub in all of this?
I would say that from what I've gleaned, it's the Thanksgiving Day game or Thanksgiving Eve game. I feel like that's important to the players in the state. And, they play a lot of games in Connecticut comparatively, or they had until recently, compared to other states. A 10th game is probably, it's one more game. Of course you want that. But,
right.
That showcase game, you could be a team with a losing record, and you can make your whole season by winning that Thanksgiving game. And it just is a different kind of thing, playing that. It's a season unto itself. And I've covered a lot of those rivalry games between a lot of the different teams and towns, crosstown rivals, border rivals, and it's just it is it's like a bowl game where you can turn your whole season around. You could be 0-9 and win that game,
Right.
and it makes your season. And I think that's important to the community, the players, the coaches, the parents, and that's the thing I think that everybody wants to maintain there.
I understand that. I understand wanting to maintain the tradition of the Turkey Bowl. I understand, wanting to keep Ward and Ludlow alive and McMahon and Norwalk alive. And so I understand all of that. And I said it on yesterday's show. For years, Greenwich would go and match up with Danbury. Now, geographically, right off the bat, that made no sense whatsoever, but that's what you were left with, two teams that really didn't have that kind of natural rival. So when you're dealing with that, Trinity Catholic often struggles for a Thanksgiving game, for instance, because Stanford and West Hill play one another. So you've got that Stanford rivalry. That third team is kind of lost in the ether. So not everybody's got that natural rivalry that's got them going, oh, wait, this is worth saving. So I could see to a school like that, it's not that big of a deal.
No, I mean, if you don't have a traditional rival or a rival that makes sense geographically, I could see why it wouldn't be as important to you, obviously. But, I mean, I feel like there's more of those natural matches that face off with each other than I think there's more of those in the teams that are, left without the dance partner, so to speak.
So what do we look to come out of tonight with? Because we've got this meeting down in Sono. The FCAC football coaches are supposed to be there. Now, I have no idea how many they're going to have. I hope everybody shows up and represents. And remember, there are 2 member schools that are now gone in Bassick and Harding. They have left for the Continental State Conference, the CSC. So you got to keep that in mind. We're down to 17 versus 19 coaches. Will they all show up? Will every team be represented? Will they lock the door, throw the key away, and hash it out until they reach a conclusion? Where are we going with this?
To be honest, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of people that need to be on the same page, but I think the most important thing is something concrete, as I said before, because it can't keep lingering, because there's teams that they dropped to go to the 9 games that need to find, replacement matchups,
right,
which is going to be tough for those schools. And I mean, they need to get something set in stone, I think, because like I said, it doesn't seem like it, but the season is 4 months away.
It is. No, it's really close. I mean, it's going to be September 11th, basically, from what I was seeing, that they will start this year. In that Steve Buno piece, I saw that there was discussion of actually opening the season on September 11th or cutting off the opening week to give them a 9-game season, still be able to play the FCAC, work the rivalries back in. But now you're opening on September 18th. And September 18th, I've seen it take that long before we kick it off, and it's ridiculous. You're going that long. You're by far at that point the last state to kick off.
Yeah, that's something I don't understand either myself. It seems overly late. I know they need to get a certain amount of practice days in before the start of the season, but I mean, can they start earlier in the summer? I don't know. That's above my pay grade, so to speak.
From outside of the FCAC, which you tend to cover more than covering the FCAC, what's the perspective you're getting on this story?
Well, I mean, I think for the other leagues, they probably can't understand why losing a championship game would be a big thing, because now the FCAC is the only league in the state that has one. Right. All the other leagues have, dropped the game, and I won't mention specifics, but I've covered championship games in certain leagues where the team that won it was like ho-hum. They're winning by 50 points in the game, and it's, they can't even really get excited to take a team picture after they win the game. So, I mean, but if, it's up to, if the FCAC wants to be the last one standing with the title game, I mean, that's their prerogative, and I just think they need to get something figured out.
I think they do too. I think they've got to get in the room tonight and get this resolved. And I think it does come down to the coaches. They don't need the principals to be involved. That's not required. I think they have got to be united by the time they walk out of there tonight. And they're not right now. They're very fractured. It's very clear that Lou Marinelli and Rob Trifone are 2 guys that are leading the charge, and with good reason. They're 2 of the real deans of the FCAC at this point. They're the 2 combatants in last year's FCAC championship game, which, remind me, how many people were there? Because I was there. I broadcasted. It wasn't like people said, oh, we don't care about that game. Oh, that's right. There was about 7,000 people at Boyle Stadium. I understand it was the Turkey Bowl, but, Mike, the bottom line is this. Even if it wasn't the Turkey Bowl, it was still the FCAC championship game. They still would have drawn a huge number to Boyle Stadium that day.
Yeah, I mean that's a big drawing card, no doubt about it. But I don't know if this opt-out, opt-in system. I don't know if that's going to be a solution. If
I'm not. Yeah.
That seems like I said before, a slippery slope where you have teams opting whether they want to be eligible for a conference championship. I feel like that'll dilute it more than anything, to be honest.
I think you're just asking for trouble at that point, and now you're starting to deal with schools that, are going to look at their kids before the season and say, okay, we have decided we will not play in the FCAC championship game, even if we earn it. We're basically saying to you, we don't care about a conference championship, or even potentially saying we don't think we're a playoff team. And that's, again, slippery slope, just something you don't want to go down.
No, and I watch a lot of Friday Night Lights. A team could go from the bottom to the top pretty easily with a lot of hard work. So to take that away from the kids, that carrot, that they could be competing in a championship game, just to not even have it on the table, it doesn't cotton too well with me, to be honest.
Well, there's the perspective, and I'm not saying it's wrong, that it's been basically Greenwich, Darien, New Canaan, Staples, with an occasional Trumbull thrown into the mix, or a team like that. St. Joe's, right? The year that they made their run, that was our first game here on HAN Radio. Bridgeport Central actually went 2004. They had a terrific football team under Dave Catalina, played Greenwich and played them tough. Lost eventually, but they did make the FCAC championship game. My point is, yes, those have been the basic champions, Staples, Greenwich, New Canaan, Darien, year after year after year, but there are more teams involved than that. Trinity Catholic was what? An interception away from playing in a championship game just 2 years ago. So it's been something to really kind of watch and see, and I understand the perspective, and it's not wrong. That perception is that these are the main teams, and that's the reason we're keeping it alive. I understand that, and there's a truth to it, but I don't think that's the reason they're keeping this alive. It's a 50-year-old game. It's going to hit its 50th this year.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a tradition, no doubt about it. But I think they just need to find out a solution that everyone can agree with, but that's easier said than done, obviously.
Yeah, it really is easier said than done. 2:49 here on Nutmeg Sports. Show is flying along in large part thanks to Mike. Bill Bloxham will sit in his seat tomorrow. A couple of guests on tomorrow, in fact, as we will have softball this Friday. We will have Jeff Babineau from St. Joe's softball, as well as Carrie Nadell, the Trumbull softball coach. So we'll have both coaches tomorrow. We'll tape one interview. We'll have the other one live, but that should be fun. Kind of mix it up with the two softball coaches as we get ready for our first softball broadcast, which will be Friday over at Trumbull High School. We're out for a break at 2:50. Mike and I come back and continue right after this with phone lines open at 203-442-9055 as we continue on Nutmeg Sports for a Tuesday on HANradio.com, streaming live along the HAN network.
Spring is finally in the air, and our favorite season is upon us. The Dock Shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well, with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Did you know that taking dance lessons is a great date night idea? Arthur Murray Grand Ballroom of Greenwich is a fabulous place to learn to dance and meet new people. Located at 6 Lewis Street, our studio is staffed with professional instructors, ready to teach you salsa, waltz, rumba, hustle, tango. There's a dance for every season. And we are rated #1 on the Knot.com. We are the wedding dance specialists. Take advantage of our new student offer, only $49. Call 203-769-1800. Visit us online at arthurmurraygreenwich.com.
This year, 3,000 Connecticut women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. HRSA Maycorn is a proud sponsor of the Komen, Connecticut Race for the Cure. Help make an impact in the local fight against breast cancer by joining us on May 9th in Westport at Sherwood Island. With your help, Komen, Connecticut invests in local breast cancer programs, helping local women beat breast cancer. Visit KomenCT.org to register, volunteer, or donate today. We race for Connecticut. Why will you race?
Does advertising on HANradio.com work? Just ask Coastal Orthopedics. They ran spots with us, and within 24 hours they had 21 walk-ins and 8 calls to their new immediate care center. To advertise on HANradio.com, call 203-417-5199 and ask for Marianne Hersom.
You're listening to Hersom Acorn Radio.
Back with you on Nutmeg Sports. It is a Tuesday edition with Mike Suppy. I'm Rob Adams. Bill Bloxham in his seat tomorrow as we roll through another week here. And again, we'll get into the St. Joe's Trumbull softball game. We'll meet with both coaches tomorrow before we have the game broadcast on Friday. In fact, it's a busy couple of days. We've got games for you Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in Ridgefield on Thursday for lacrosse, Staples, and Ridgefield to be exact. We've got the softball game that I alluded to on Friday, and then on Saturday we go to girls lacrosse as Longmeadow, Massachusetts comes down to New Canaan to take on the Rams. So 2:53, and again, it's the football story that continues to dominate despite the chat with Coach Gura. But give me some of your perspective on other good things in the SEC. What other things are you covering that are let's step away from football for a moment.
Well, sticking with the Shelton High angle, their volleyball team, boys volleyball team, is having an excellent season at 9-1, showing a proclivity for winning these 5-set thrillers. And they were not that long ago a powerhouse team in the state that never lost a game in entire seasons. And under Coach Leanne Biancini, they're starting to get back to where they were with a strong senior class this year.
Yeah, and that's, I've been following that as well, playing pretty well. So what else do we see going on around your part of the world?
We got tons of softball still going on, some lacrosse, which we were at Saturday, a good game where New Canaan showed that they have the ability to pull away from one of the stronger teams in the state, and just keeping busy out there, trying to go to as many games as I can.
Yeah, it's a busy time for all of us. And how busy does it get for you as we move into May?
May is usually where my mileage stacks up the most because there's literally a game every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was actually looking at last year's to see where I drove last year, to see what I was going to be in for, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be a busy month for sure.
How about by the way, looking at your hat? That baseball team's not playing so badly right now.
No, last night was a tough one, but the bullpen can't be bulletproof every night. But sweeping the Red Sox for the first time since 2006, I believe it was.
Yeah.
That's a good sign, and they're playing well right now. You can't ask for anything else than what they've been bringing to the table.
And also, while we've just stuck our toe into the professional ranks, don't want to ignore the Rangers. Their loss last night, big to the Capitals. And sometimes you talk about freak things, just hits a skate and goes right by Henrik Lundqvist, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, it's, for me, strange to see a Washington Capitals team win with defense and grit, which used to be the calling card of the Rangers under John Tortorella when they would beat the Capitals a lot.
Right.
And, the Rangers are playing with fire right now because they can't seem to get more than a 2-goal lead for any amount of time throughout the playoffs at all. And the Capitals have a hot goalie with Holtby, plus usually the best skater on the ice whenever he's on there in Ovechkin. And, obviously can't overstate the importance of the game Wednesday. It's a must-win. They don't want to be going home down 3-1 for sure.
I still think they right the ship. I really do.
Oh, I do too. I watched that game last night. The Rangers controlled the game. They were dominant, especially the last 10 minutes. And their inability of the power play to get on the board last night hurt them. They had some chances, but you could copy and paste that with the Rangers in the playoffs. Although I know their power play has been better this year, but they got to it's not time to panic. No, I don't think anybody's pressing the panic button yet from what it sounded like post-game. But they need some guys to start playing better. That's for sure.
I said my Bill will be in your seat tomorrow, but you'll be back next week?
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right, then you're coming back. We'll just keep them coming. As we step out for today's Nutmeg Sports, we'll be back with you tomorrow. As I said, Bill will be with us. We will have Jeff Babineau and Carrie Nadell, who will take us through the setup for St. Joe's and Trumbull. Should be a good softball game. We'll have boys lacrosse on Thursday, softball Friday, and then girls lacrosse on Saturday. But that'll do it for Nutmeg Sports. Our thanks to Scott Gurr, the head baseball coach at Shelton. Our thanks to Jenny and Marty Hersom as well for keeping us on the air. And for Mike Suppy, I'm Rob Adams. Enjoy your afternoon. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Nutmeg Sports on HANradio.com and the HAN Network. So long, everyone.
Yabba dabba 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 doo. Yabba dabba 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 doo.
Hersom Acorn and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Want to get in touch with HAN Radio? You can find us on Twitter at Hersom Radio, on Facebook at Hersom Acorn Radio, or email us at radio@hersomacorn.com.
Microphone live is now off. 5. Next. 5, 4, 3. Playlet 5, 5, 4, 3.